Uh, RPG a day, 2017, day 18. Let's see what today's question is. Which RPG have you played the most in your life? Uh, I'm again kind of repeating myself because Vampire the Masquerade. Vampire the Masquerade is an easy choice. I already kind of praised its merits already in the two videos ago, and it was for the longest time for my old group that I don't play in anymore. But there was a long time period where I played exclusively in a one single group with a couple of friends, and for us, Vampire the Masquerade had a kind of a special place in our group, as it was a kind of a betweener game. It was kind of a game where when people were kind of sitting around kind of wondering, man, I really feel like role playing. How about we play something? What should we play? And pretty much somebody would say, Vampire the Masquerade, and everybody would agree. It's one of those things where it's everybody in that group knew it inside and out. Everybody could just jump on board and create a character, and could easily come up with a kind of neat character concept in a moment's notice. And you kind of browse if you don't come up with stuff automatically based on the clans and whatnot. Usually what I would do is kind of browse through the merits and flaws and find kind of inspiration there, kind of like find a supernatural flaw or something where the character is tormented by nightmarish visions of something, or where the character is completely shunned by the vampiric community or something like that, or that they're blind and maybe I don't know, wheelchair bound or something like that. And that immediately makes you think of, okay, how could I build stuff around that and make that like a very definitive feature of the character and stuff. So Vampire the Masquerade was one of those games where actually it's one of those games where I've played the shortest campaigns. Perhaps it's something that have always kind of lasted a fairly short period of time, like less than 10 sessions, mostly because they've kind of been unfinished campaigns. Because a lot of times it's been like a long ass campaign of something else gets finished, then people are still like in the mood, like, oh, I really want to create a new character in something and really get to you still have that fever of wanting to role play a character and wanting to tell a story, and your mind is just racing with kind of cool ideas, and you just kind of throw out something like, oh, how about if we play vampire? It would be neat if we could like do this and this kind of a scenario with characters kind of like this and this. And kind of like when the vampire campaign would go on, it would be so familiar that it would kind of stagnate, and people's kind of role play fatigue would start to kick in. Even if you were playing just one session a week kind of thing, it would still be like, if from Monday to Friday you're always at work and the weekend is the only off time you have, and you're spending every Saturday evening and afternoon basically role playing with the same friends. It can easily, after a long campaign and after that kind of role playing adrenaline starts to kind of fade, the fatigue can kind of set in, because it's a creative hobby, it's a social hobby, it's a lot of things that can drain someone creatively and in a lot of ways. But Vampire the Masquerade has served in quite a versatile way. It's like we played games where we focused very much on Camarilla. We played games where we focused very much on Sabbat. We played games where we focused very much on the independents, on a very specific, only one specific clan, on very different kind of power dynamics, on something where some of the players were of one side and some of it were on another side. Games where somebody was like a traitor within the ranks of the rest of the players. Games where everybody was like unrepentantly evil and sadistic and all that. And games where they were goody two shoe type of characters. Games where we focused very much on very low key kind of drama and tragedy and those kind of elements. Games where we focused on kind of adventure and action aspects. You know, one day you will be making character who cannot do anything, you know, offensive, but they have loads and loads of like personal backstories that you just kind of dive into, where they have libraries worth of like ideologies and stuff like that they've come up with, and the game focuses on exploring kind of those ideas. When somebody's playing a Malkavian or something like that, there's like huge mindscapes to kind of dive into and explore. And other times we would be playing characters who wear kind of bulletproof vests and submachine guns and stuff all throughout the game and stuff, where like turf wars are like constantly ongoing, where the game would start where the player characters kind of you know, piss the wrong people off, and the whole campaign would be focused around, you know, just being on the run and always having to run into violent situations and confrontations and stuff like that. So I've always kind of rolled my eyes when people uh, pull out Vampire the Masquerade and start talking about how it's supposed to be played and what's the right way to play Vampire the Masquerade and all that. And oftentimes people like say that, oh, this game is more like D&D, this game is more like Vampire the Masquerade, whereas I've played Vampire the Masquerade campaigns that were very similar to D&D, you know, where you were like this adventurer party that just came across zombies and all sorts of blacklisted people that needed to be assassinated, who had goons and stuff. And, you know, it's a very versatile game, and every game really is just as versatile in most cases. Like you could run D&D where there's hardly any combat or any dungeoneering. It could be a courtroom drama game or something, but it's a D&D. You know, it doesn't have to be you don't have to typecast a game, you know. And Vampire the Masquerade really proved itself to me in a lot of ways, where well, I would say that even though Werewolf the Apocalypse is my favorite game, it's one of those things where if every single werewolf has an innate power to turn into a muscle-bound, you know, rending claw kind of equipped monster, it's kind of like, okay, how can I use that in non-violent ways? Like, what use are the talons if you don't use them to, you know, rip flesh open? Of course, you could use them as an artisan or something, like carving some fetish items and being all zen and being focusing on the shaman aspects and stuff. I would love to play a werewolf game where everybody's just kind of all about meditation and talking to spirits and you know, being all you know, I can't throat sing. Whatever. Anyway, this was just kind of you know, ball washing for Vampire the Masquerade, because it's a great game and people can kind of pigeonhole it to a very specific style, and it doesn't apply if you ask me. So yeah, give Vampire the Masquerade a try in a non-conventional way. If you've played any game, really, I'd challenge anyone to pick up a game they have very strong preconceptions about how it's supposed to be run, and kind of flip it on its side. How about you take something like Vampire the Masquerade, run it like a D&D game, take D&D and run it like a Vampire the Masquerade game. How about that? If you're looking to freshen stuff up, it really works. It really works if you want to make it work. So there you go. See you tomorrow for day 19. Nice.